Hey y'all, I'm James Wright and welcome to my shop. My wife uses a step stool because she is 4'10" and she uses it for everything. So today we're going to be making a dovetailed splayed leg step stool with a carving in the top. So let's dive in and take a look at this. So here's the problem we got. My wife is 4'10", and so she uses a step stool for everything, especially in the laundry room. And this is the one she has been using since she was 12 years old. The problem with it is, though, it has this lip on the overhang, and if you step on the edge, it rolls. And she has bashed up her ankles several times because of this thing. And I want to make her one that's a little bit better, particularly one with a splayed side, so that it won't roll when she steps on the edge or steps slightly off of it. So that's what we're going to be making today. And rather than making it out of pine, as this one is, we're going to be using white oak. What else? So I've had this slab sitting aside for it, and we're going to pull all the pieces out of this so that we have a nice grain wrap up one side and down the other. It will have splayed dovetails, so we'll be going into those and a bunch of other features. So the first thing we want to do is actually cut this into pieces so that we have a piece for the top, the two legs, and then we can start putting the angles on it. So let's chop this apart and then we'll come back for angles. Okay, so we've cut all three of these pieces, and they all have a 90-degree joint. So when I put them together, we could have traditional dovetails like that. But I want to actually splay these and put them at a slight angle out. So rather than using a square to make the edges, I'm going to use a bevel gauge. And the bevel gauge allows us to set some angle on here. And I really don't care what the angle is. I just want to have a little bit of a splay. Something like 10 degrees or so is all that it really needs. So I'm going to set it there. I'm going to lock this down. And now with this locked down, I'm going to keep this bevel angle for everything I use. So from here on out, this angle is the angle that I am cutting everything to. So I want to make sure I don't bump this, I don't change it, because this is very important. Next thing we need to do is actually draw those bevel angles here on the side and then plane this so it's not 90 degrees to that new bevel angle that we're going to be putting on there. So we've cut all the angles, and you can kind of see how this will come together with the splayed legs. The next thing we want to do is actually cut the dovetails. Now in this video, I don't want to go into a whole lot of detail on how I'm going to cut these angled dovetails. I have an entire video on that. I'll leave a link to that in the cards and down in the description, and you can see that. But we will take a little bit of a look at it here. So let's dive in and cut some pretty dovetails. So we basically have a stool and it is all dovetailed together. This top board apparently is twisted a little bit as it has been sitting. And so I've got a little bit of rocking it. I'm going to clean up the bottoms eventually so that it flattens out. But for right now, I want to put on stretchers that actually will support this so these legs don't eventually want to flare out. For that, I'm going to be using a scrap piece of white oak that I pulled off another project. So we're going to cut that to length, clean it up a little bit, and then start putting them in here. I'm probably going to do a little dovetail work with that. Let's dive in and take a look at it. Okay, so now we have these stretchers, and they are cut with the angle that then corresponds to the legs. We need to fit these in here. Now, I could just chop out the recesses and slide this down into the legs, but then that may allow the legs to splay out a little bit. What I want to actually do is cut some dovetails on the end of this. So we're going to have angled dovetails on the end of our stretcher that then socket down into this, and that'll keep the legs from pulling out in the future. So let's check that out. Now the old step stool actually had this rocking horse put on there, and it's something that's kind of, yeah, whatever. It was put on there because she was a kid at the time, and the rocking horse, of course. But I want to kind of pull that into the new one and just give it some history to it. And then I want to do some of my Celtic weaving kind of feel to it. So I went online and I found this pattern, which came up pretty quickly that someone sketched out, and I really kind of like it. It's that horse motif, but with a heart for my wife, and then the Celtic weaving, and it was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna put on there. So let's actually go into carving this into the top. Now we have this all cut out. We have our carving in, everything is looking pretty, and it is ready to go together. So what we're gonna do is glue this up and set it aside and get it ready for finishing. So, glue up time. We've now pulled this out of the clamps, and then we're going to go through smoothing this out, cleaning it out, and getting it ready for finish. So we're basically there. We just got to do some of those finishing touches that take this from a functional piece to something that's a little bit more pretty. Let's dive in. The carving is done, and I am in love with the finish and how this came out. I'm really looking forward to actually putting the finish on it, which is the next thing we're going to do. Now, if you know my channel, you know we're going to be putting boiled linseed oil on this. The boiled linseed oil and the white oak just really come together to make this beautiful color pop out of this, and it's a fantastic finish to bring the color out. The problem with boiled linseed oil is it's not a very durable finish. It is not going to protect this, and with people stepping on this constantly, I'm going to need some more protection on that. And for that, I really like to use a poly, and in particular I'm going to use a wipe-on poly to finish this. Next, we're going to be putting on boiled linseed oil, then 4 or 5 coats of poly to protect it, and then a paste wax to bring out the shine, and it'll be done. So let's dive in and take a look at that. So there you have it. Now the rocking horse is all grown up and found its mate. I'm really in love with this, how this came out. The white oak just explodes with color, especially with that boiled linseed oil, and I'm hoping my wife likes it as well. We'll see. I do want to say a huge thank you to the patrons on Patreon. You guys help make this channel more than it is today. If you'd like to find out more about that or buy t-shirts and card scrapers, that really does help out the channel. Thank you for that. So if you do like this video, please hit like, comment, subscribe. That also helps the channel. And I'm looking forward to doing more videos like this in the future. Probably going to be putting out a video soon about how to make the angled dovetails. If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments below. That's about it for today. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Yeah.